Monday fun day. We're back in the groove. Looking forward to another great week, Anthony.
Yay.
The enthusiasm is infectious on No Vacancy Live.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hello, citizens of the world. I, of course, am Glenn Hausman. I'm so honored to be sharing the stage today once again with Mr. Anthony Melchiori, my brother. How are you today?
It is an honor and privilege. And it was very cute that you called me this morning and said, I miss you.
I know.
We spoke on the phone because we haven't spoken really outside of the show for a while.
I know.
And, it was very cute that you're finally missing me as much as I miss you.
Well, I've been missing you for a while now. It's just I'm slow to act, you know? I'm kind of a slow burn kind of guy. It took me 2 weeks to figure out how to call, but I finally did, and I'm really excited that we caught up. And it was much needed. There's a lot going on, so it's fun to just be able to have real relationships off air. I feel like all of my relationships are this
Superficial?
No.
So today we're going to talk about Jeff Bezos going to the moon.
Yes,
space.
Or going to space or something like that. How cool is that,
The
man?
whole show is going to be about that.
I would love to be a multi-billionaire and be able to just take a rocket.
Dude, you don't have enough billions to get my butt strapped to a rocket.
I also don't have enough guts to do it. Even if
I'm not going up there. Listen, he's going with his brother. So if one Bezos goes, they both go. Don't they have families?
You would think they do. Although Jeff is recently divorced,
It's
so
like kids.
yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't do that sort of thing. As I was telling you on the phone earlier, I cut out all of the dangerous stuff in my life as soon as my wife gave birth to our beautiful children, because it really became more about them in life and not about me anymore. Right. So I keep all my fun to really simple things like, making pork roasts.
So pork roast boy, what are we talking about today?
Well, we're going to be bringing on our guest in just a second. But before we do that, I did want to make, there was a news story that I saw this morning that I thought you would be interested in talking about. There's a hotel in Hilo, Hawaii that was sold out this summer, and they canceled every single reservation because they made some sort of deal with a group to buy out the hotel for June 4th to August 19th, presumably at a much better rate, canceling everybody's stays, throwing vacations into tumult. I could kind of see both sides of the argument here. How do you feel about it?
Well, there is no sides of the argument. The guest has the confirmation. The guest made the reservation. So there is no argument. The guest should have that room. Their ownership made a decision that they can get a higher rate, and they decided to get out of that business confirmation relationship with the guest, and they made a business decision. That will hurt them long-term with, online, on TripAdvisor, on Facebook. Will it have long-term consequences? Who knows? But listen, it's not a gray area. They decided to not, to agree to their contractual, relationship, and they went to a higher rate.
Right.
I disagree with it. I think it's terrible business. I wouldn't do it unless it was an extraordinary reason, like I'm losing my hotel, literally, then I would do it. But outside of that, I can't imagine it's not going to be great for business.
No, but on the other side, I feel like people are going to forget about it really quickly. Maybe not those
That's what I'm saying. It depends.
individuals that have got the reservations canceled, but I think there's so much of an onslaught of news and information and things we're supposed to be offended about. It's really difficult to remember what we don't like, what we like anymore. At least that's a problem that I'm having.
Yeah, but it's not about remembering. There's no right way to do the wrong thing. There's no right way to do the wrong thing.
Right.
So it's the wrong thing. You don't do those things in business. And Mr. Sullivan is right. Anthony is right.
Yep. Well, anytime someone agrees with
Maritza, where you been, Maritza? You haven't been around in a while.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's been out getting new hats or something like that. I'm not sure. Hey, Anthony, you're going to be proud of me because today I'm going to promote The Adapters by Sean Worker and myself, of course, Glenn Hausman. To collection.
Did Sean yell at you like he yelled at me a couple weeks ago?
No, I actually did this on my own fruition. I have such a terrible time at the shameless self-promotion. Go ahead, go to The Adapters right now, theadapters.net, buy a copy on Amazon.com. Learn how gutsy genius thinkers think and how you can apply what they're doing to find success in their lives to your life as well. Filled with lots of great interviews. Plus, We're doing a series of videos every single week on called Take 5, where we focus on adapting and innovation in the marketplace and discuss that and analyze that. You ready?
You know what you did there? You adapted because you actually put two words together.
I know.
You made your own word. You made terrible. Instead of hell and terrible, you put terrible. So your new word of the day is terrible.
I know. I've coined a lot of phrases in the past, but I never get any credit for it as well. So you heard terrible here first. So a hell of a horrible time, which is not what the show is going to be today.
Richard, what are you doing in your new job?
Congratulations. She says it's been crazy. Tell us what it is. We'd love to hear what you have to say. I want to thank everybody who's joining us, not just on Anthony's page, which we see the numbers here, but on my LinkedIn page, Anthony's LinkedIn page, my Facebook No Vacancy page, my Facebook personal page, and of course our YouTube page. So thank you all for joining us and watching. What do you think? Should we bring in our guest today?
I think we should.
All right, let's bring her in. We have with us from Sonesta Hotel Corporation International, Garine Ferejian-Mayo. Garine, great to see you. How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Did he get the name right? Because he was practicing. I know he was practicing.
No, it was good. It was good.
It was good. Another way, just screwed it up, but she.
I was close.
You were close. You were close.
Garine, right? But I did screw up Ferejian, right? I did. No,
that was fine. That was fine.
Maybe I messed up on the Mayo part because I'm not very good with the Italian names over there. You should hear I pronounce Anthony's Melchiori name all the time.
So is that a picture of the Plaza Hotel behind you?
It is.
Oh!
What did you do at the Plaza Hotel?
I was their director of revenue management.
Do you mind if I ask what year?
That was, let's see, 2002, 2003.
Okay.
Right before they closed. I was there for 2 years. Then they closed the doors.
And I was there. Oh, sorry, Anthony. Go ahead.
I was there from 91 to 93, and Margaret Rosdico was the reservation manager, because in those days we didn't have revenue managers, and she was the reservation manager. And unfortunately, she passed away a couple of years ago. Wonderful lady, and we worked very, very closely together. I'll just say 1801. How much? 1701, 1601. Were those the closet rooms while you were there still?
I think so. I'm trying to remember now.
Those rooms, I still remember. Those rooms were so small, you had to go outside to change your mind.
I think it's amazing that you remember those room numbers all these years later.
When you get yelled at a guest paying $700 a night in 1990 for 1601, the size of your shoe, you remember those rooms very, very well.
I do. Actually, you know what? I do remember that now.
Yeah.
I do. Because I was in charge of pricing, so of course I would get the feedback.
Yeah. Did they call the Plaza the Plaza too when you were there?
No.
Plaza.
Yeah, it was a zoo. When we took over, it was an absolute zoo. It wasn't what it was like when you.
That sounds terrible.
It was a zoo, man. It was a nightmare. We were there during Home Alone 2. I was there during the filming of Home Alone 2.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, I saw some really famous weddings there, obviously.
Yes, we did. Eddie Murphy got married there and divorced there.
Oh, that's nice.
I was there
on the same day, or is that separate parties?
I don't know. What did you say? I'm sorry. You were there.
I was there when Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones were married, and Joan Rivers' daughter was married there when I was there.
I was there when Donald Trump married Marla Maples. Oh. I actually brought Marla Maples the newspapers the morning of after the wedding, and she had Tiffany in her arms, and I brought her the newspapers. And Donald Trump walked out at 7 a.m. in the morning, kissed her on the forehead, and went to work.
And that was the last time he ever saw her again.
Yeah, that was my training ground. I mean, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, as they say.
At boot camp, right?
100%. So enough about the Plaza. Let's talk about you. So take it away, Glenn.
So Garine, thank you so much for joining us here today. And as we are doing this show live today, Sonesta added another 5 hotels to their portfolio just this morning, according to a press release blast that I got. How is it going? How are you feeling right now? Are you relatively new in this role?
I am. By the way, Carlos Flores says hello to both of you. I know he was on the show about a month ago.
Yes.
Yes, so I've been with Sonesta now for 3 months. Very exciting. It feels like I've been on board much longer than that. But as you can imagine, we've gone through significant growth. We had 53 hotels last October, and now we're, as of this morning, 266 hotels in the U.S. So
I'm
very
sorry,
exciting.
it's 363 as of the show starting. You added 100 hotels already this morning. I'm just kidding. I'm like, did we really?
I was like, did I say the wrong number? So it's very, very exciting. I mean, it's exciting because we've also added 2 new brands, the Sonesta Select brand, Simply Suites brand, which is the extended stay brand. So a lot going on in Sonesta, and obviously back in middle March, we announced the Red Lion acquisition.
Yep.
So we're one of the top 8 largest hotel company now. So very, very exciting.
So what does a chief commercial officer actually do?
So really, my role is to drive commercial engine, the engine that really drives top line. So my team includes, I oversee the sales and marketing team, field marketing team that really focuses on the marketing, digital marketing, working closely with the hotels to make sure that they have all of their right strategies in place, as well as revenue management. So those are the 3 functional teams that fall under me. And what's interesting about a commercial role, and I think you probably have heard about this now in the last year or so, many companies are adding this role. It is fairly new. It's really to break down silos. As you remember, Anthony, back in the day, revenue management sort of had their own lane, sales did their own thing, then you had marketing. And once in a while, they would turn to the left, they would turn to the right and talk to each other. But having a commercial leader that leads all 3 really breaks down the silos so that we're really working together and optimizing our top line revenues.
Right. And sometimes it's called optimizing revenue and working together. And sometimes it's called kicking a little ass. And that person's got to do that. And there's nothing but if you think a UFC fight is serious, you get a director of sales, a director of revenue, a groups manager, and you put them in the room together. Sometimes it's wonderful. And sometimes you need a referee.
Yes.
And because they're all trying to do the right thing by either their budget or their client. And sometimes they go into silos. And that is a very dangerous place to be when you're talking about the revenue, because your number one job is to keep that hotel from failing. And you can talk about the general manager. You can talk about a lot of positions in the hotel business. They're all important. But your job, you don't do your job, they don't have a hotel. You don't have a hotel company.
So how does, and I do want to let everybody know I'm getting asked where I am. I put in the chat box, but I'm at the Royal Sonesta, Washington, D.C. today, or not at the Royal Sonesta, Washington, D.C. I wish I was, because what a beautiful hotel this looks like over here. And let me do a quick little magic trick over here. If anybody wants to go do some swimming, check out that pool area over there. How nice is that? Very unusual for a Washington, D.C. hotel to have such a cool area. So that was pretty good. I'm back in the bedroom now.
Okay,
so
let me see if Glenn disappears. Ready? I'm going to count to 3. See if Glenn disappears. Right. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, there you go. Okay, so now it's the Anthony show.
That was cool. Oh my God, producer Suzanne, she's doing one of these.
Well, that's why I did. That's why I did the 1, 2, 3, so she would do it. You ducked like a dummy.
Well, I'm not too smart. Interesting. From Lori Giuliano, Sonesta owned the Plaza from
I didn't know that
until 1975. I had no idea. That's
cool. Lori, did you work there? I'd like to know if she worked there.
Yeah, Lori, let us know if you have any experience over at the Plaza and how you came across that particular piece of information.
Did you know that they owned the Plaza?
I did, yes.
Oh,
yes, back in the day.
So, Garine, you've been there now 3 months, as you just mentioned, and this is probably brand new for Sonesta having this particular role. You're definitely new in it. So how are you pulling together all of these departments, figuring out what your strategy is going to be, set against the backdrop of, oh, we added another hotel. Oh, we added 5 more hotels today. Oh, we got 10 more coming in next week. How are you dealing with that?
Well, first and foremost, the most important thing for me is the talent. So the talent that has been with Sonesta, the legacy team, they've done an amazing job with the conversion. It's never easy to convert from other brands into the Sonesta brand,
Yep.
especially from the larger brands. When you think of the IHG and Marriott, and now most recently Hyatt.
Mm-hmm.
So the teams have done a really nice job doing a smooth transition, really working through the teams, making sure that the systems, the mapping, just when you switch from a different brand, there's so much involved there. Just making sure that we're crossing the T's and going through a checklist of items to make sure that we've done everything right. Because we are in a recovery mode, right? Right now, we're in that stage where we're starting to see the signs of recovery. And we just want to make sure that our hotels are ready when we start seeing higher demand, which we already are for the summer. Working with the teams, the most critical piece for us is to make sure that we have the right strategy, for group, right strategy for transient. When business travel starts coming back, we have the right strategy for second half of the year from a pricing perspective. So once you have those strategies in place, regardless of how many hotels you bring in, we just sort of align them under their brand to make sure they're following the strategy. So.
Yeah, that makes sense, but a lot easier said than done, because there's a lot of details that you have to worry about. Not only making sure you have great team members on board, and yeah, the legacy team is great, but that's just not enough folks. So you guys have been hiring and hiring and hiring. Carlos said you had something like 600 jobs open at the time when he was on the show. Sure, that number's gone down a little bit, but with expanding the company,
bet you it's gone up. I bet you it's gone up.
Yeah,
it has gone up. We have, as of today, we have 1,300 open roles. So anyone that's listening to this, that's looking for an opportunity to join an exciting company like Sonesta on its path to significant growth, I would say go to sonesta.com careers, because there is a lot of open roles available.
So how do you get the industry to know about Sonesta and the traveler to know about Sonesta? Because Sonesta is one of those brands that is not top of mind when you think of the other brands. Sonesta has been a little bit lower on the list, not as far as quality, but as far as top of mind. It's not the first name I throw out. So how do you, as the Chief Commercial Officer, kind of handle that challenge head on going into 2021, 2022?
let me say, great question from Anthony on that one, Gatinier.
So one of the, that's a very good question. So one of the things that we started to do, and I'll start from the group perspective. In the last 2 weeks, as I traveled to Chicago and Houston, we met up with significant number of meeting planners. We held an event at the Allegro Royal Sonesta property. We invited 40 meeting planners that represent number of high-end corporate companies that are looking to book business, and educated them on all of our brands. We did the same thing when we went to Houston, really staying on top of mind with our meeting planners, corporate meeting planners, so that they know about our full service product and our capabilities for them to book business. On a transient side, right now, because many of our associates have not had the opportunity to travel, so we're really utilizing our relationships with our top accounts. If you think of American Express, BCD, CWT, all of these different third-party agencies, making sure that they're familiar with our brands. Again, it's a lot of education and bringing them up to speed on who we are, what's the DNA of each of our brands, and how does that resonate with their customers. And then just, lastly, it's really kicking off our roadshow and finding ways that where we can get in front of the customers. I think many of our customers are zoomed out at this stage. I mean, we can only have so many Zooms. So we're starting to plan our travel. Now that majority of our team members are vaccinated and they're just excited to get to the road,
Yeah,
the key is to get in front of our customers. And that's really important.
When you OD on Zoom, I think I've almost OD'd on Zoom a couple of times.
Yeah, it's very difficult to stay focused. Even as us, when we're presenting, we try our best to engage with our customers, but our customers are zoomed out at this stage.
Yeah,
I'm in a 28-day program to break myself of the habit right now of being on Zoom all the time.
it's mind numbing. It really is. I mean, I've gotten a lot of work done. I mean, you really do, especially with my team being everywhere. I get a lot of work done, but it's like you said, I'm zoomed out. And I will tell you, I've been in New York City the last week. This morning I was in New York City, and I'm seeing people commuting. I mean, I'm seeing people walking across the street, coming out of the subway and buses, and the traffic is getting I wouldn't say peak levels, but it's kind of like a busy August. You know how August in New York City is a little bit slower than normal. It's like a busy August, and it's great to see. So, but how do you compete from a name recognition with that client, that not only transient client, but just in general? How do you get that name recognition out there to really compete with the? Now you are the big guys, but you weren't the big guys. What, a year ago?
Right. 6 months ago.
You grew up so fast.
I know.
You were just a baby.
So one of the other areas that we're really focused on is digital marketing, right? So that's really important for us to stay on top of mind. So working closely with all of our third parties, if you think of the, Google, TripAdvisor, all of these different channels, and constantly focus on that digital marketing strategy and make sure that people know who we are. We launched our summer campaign back in late April. And really the objective of that offer was to let people know who we are and what are the brands that fall under Sonesta. And we've seen some really, really positive results, which is exciting. Which brings me to, when you take a look at the summer months, we're seeing some really strong occupancies at our Sonesta properties. So obviously it's working. It's bringing people, new customers to Sonesta to experience Sonesta. But it's still work in progress, to be honest with you. We can't do this overnight. We just hired a new chief brand officer, Elizabeth Harlow. She started a week ago. So her role is to really work closely with our brand leaders. And again, I go back to identifying the DNA of our brands so that we could take it to the next level.
Right. And create that appropriate messaging that's on brand with each of the individual sub brands that you have in there. Because not only are you talking about having the Royal Sonesta brand, Sonesta East Suites, but then you have other brands such as Red Lion, Hotel RL, and of course, America's Best Value Inn. So you're really running the whole gambit from the top to the bottom in the business right now. And it's important for customers to understand that. But Garine, I got to ask you, it seems like we're at an interesting point in history right now where you'll be able to connect better with brands through that online marketing that you talked about. I mean, customers through that online marketing you're talking about, because I think people are more open to experimenting with new companies, new brands, names they haven't heard of, as long as the properties seem to offer a great value. I say value, not price, great value for what they're expecting.
That's accurate. Absolutely. The other thing that I just want to mention is the loyalty program, right? So if you think of the big brands that have the known loyalty brands out there, that's a great area of opportunity for us. We have the Travel Pass loyalty program that's done well for us in the past when we were a small portfolio, but now we're playing with the big boys. So we really are taking the opportunity to revamp our loyalty program because we have such significant growth in our brand. So that's another resource for us to really grow the Sonesta brand out there. And then the other thing, we've really taken an opportunity during the pandemic to identify technology upgrades.
Right.
Website design. We have a new website that's going to launch beginning of Q4. We have our new Sonesta mobile app that's going to launch in Q4. So those are all the different resources that come into play when we really want to get the buzz, the awareness out there of who is Sonesta.
Well, I think a good idea for the loyalty program would be to give out a car to every person that signs up. Brand new Tesla to every single person that signs up. I think you get a lot of traction.
You've got a car.
No, I mean, right now, it has got to be the hardest. It is so hard because everyone is so entrenched in what they do. And it's so hard to really kind of separate and really show, again, for lack of a better word, separation between the brands. I mean, I always say I walk into a room and I don't know what brand I'm in because they're all starting to look the same. Yep. So from a design perspective, and I know that's not your expertise, but I would imagine there's a lot going behind the scenes to really separate yourself from looking like anybody or anything else. We just had a brand on a couple weeks ago, and I think they're doing a really good job in really separating themselves and really doing things that I haven't seen before in the market. Is there a lot of new design coming down the pike?
There's talks about it. Again, it's in the beginning stages as we identify and enhance our brands. There's definitely discussions. especially the fact that we're looking to franchise many of our Sonesta brands. And I think that Carlos talked about this a little bit. We have our franchise leader, Keith Pierce, who is really leading the efforts on the franchise side. So as we put in more work to it, there's definitely plans to make updates there.
Right. There's most definitely plans. And my prediction for what's going to happen is you will be coming out with new construction prototypes because you're going to be appealing toward that franchise community. So you need to rethink each of your products before you get really super serious about going out to market to make sure that everybody who's going to be investing with you can be as most profitable as ever. And that's kind of where that technology component comes in. That's where Anthony's design component comes in, and it'll all come together. Anthony?
Really, your job is so difficult because your job is a pretty highly skilled job. Like, you need revenue managers and people going into the system that really understand the business and really can learn the business from the best and the brightest like yourself. But it's like there's a long lead time before you can have a revenue manager that really, has not been trained as a revenue manager. I mean, what is the lead time to take a new person, say out of college, get them into a revenue management program and get them to be an assistant manager or a revenue manager in the revenue department? What's that lead time like?
So generally, when we do hire individuals that graduate out of college, the first year they're technically revenue analysts. So they're the ones that start with doing majority of the running of the reports and putting reports together, the Excel sheets. But then we take it to the next level and we try to educate them and let them know. So you're looking at the number. Now tell us what the number tells you, right? So really educating them and help them understand how you identify trends, how do you identify opportunities. They work very, very closely with their market leaders as their number two, and then allow them the opportunity to slowly take advantage of learning how to forecast, learn how to analyze displacement, pricing opportunities, how to read a star report. So there's a lot of learning opportunities, but in the first year, they're basically doing a lot of the basic work. So that year two, we could put them sort of at the seat where they're having conversations and discussions with general managers and sales leaders and put them in that strategy seat so that they can understand how to have a yield strategy meeting on a weekly basis and how to identify opportunities. But it's work in progress. But generally, the first role is a revenue analyst, and that's when they get sort of started. From there, they become a revenue manager. Then they become a assistant director of revenue management, director of revenue management, wow. And then on they go to area and regional roles.
Yeah, and that person, I mean, gets a lot of face time with the executive team, more than most people in the hotel. I mean, if you're really good at it and you're really passionate about that side of the business, you get a lot of face time early on in your career, and you can really, if you're good at it and you're really passionate about it, you can really, especially now with all the hotels you're opening. You opened 7 more before you opened 7 more. Another one. I'm just kidding. And you're opening so many hotels that, I mean, if you're really sharp, I mean, there's an opportunity, to really go really, really far in this industry, especially in your company. I don't know any other company, Glenn, correct me if I'm right. Yeah. I don't know any other company that is got as much growth as you do. Sonesta does. I don't think anywhere close. It's crazy.
I agree with you. I mean, in the last 4 weeks, we've hired 14 revenue managers.
Wow.
And so, and these are skilled revenue managers that have worked with other brands, right. But to get them up to speed with our systems, with our programming, with our, strategies, it takes time.
And it's a feel, like you said, there's a nuance to revenue management and to your side of the business that you almost can't teach. You almost can't teach it. You can teach a lot of the parts of it, but there's it's almost like a chef, right? I give a chef a recipe, and I put, a regular cook with the recipe. They use the same ingredients, and somehow that Michelin star chef's meal is just better. It's just there's a nuance to it, and it's a lot of work, but it's fun work. I enjoy revenue management, even though you're under the gun every single day. And I always say, when the economy is good, you're a genius, and when the economy is terrible, you're an idiot.
Well, you're in a hot seat all the time. You're in the hot seat. You are the right arm to the general manager, and the left arm, I guess, to, finance and sales. I mean, you're the go-to person.
So how do you treat, because my partner, Jeremy Pinkerton, who I think is the best revenue manager in the business, and she said, I would sit in meetings with her when we were working at big hotels in the city. And I would ask her, how do you not take it personally? I take stuff personally sometimes, most of the time. And like, how do you sit in a meeting and your strategy, you sat in the room with all these people, you all kind of made the decision, and then it went sideways and it didn't materialize and everybody's looking at you. How do you not take that personally? How do you teach a young person to not take it personally?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, right? I mean, as I've gone through my career, in the beginning, you take it personally, but I always try to tell them, take it to the next level. Go back and figure out, what would you have done differently? How would you have presented that opportunity? Or how would you have led that conversation? And with revenue management, you can always go back to figures and facts, right? So if we did something, if we set a strategy A, making sure that we're monitoring it and figuring out what the results are, and really building a playbook. I always say, who has the playbook? Let's open up the playbook. What worked, what didn't work. And what didn't work 2 years ago, it may work now. So we've got to really figure out how we can play around with different strategies and deploy it.
Yeah, and I think what's really important also is when you go back and look at the playbook and you made good decisions at the time based on those facts and you still made a mistake, that's okay. Be okay with that.
Yes.
Because I always say, as long as I've done my best and I paid attention, I don't care if I fail. And it's true. I don't. If I pay attention and I've done my best work, and it goes sideways. And I think that's the key to when people coming into this industry is go back. And if the playbook, I don't think I would change anything in the playbook when I had the information. Now, of course, next year I'll change it. But when I had the information, that was a good decision. And don't be so hard on yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And failure is okay. You learn from it. The first thing I ask my team is, okay, great. We deployed it. It didn't work. But what did we learn from it?
Right.
And what would we do differently in the future?
Right. Isn't that what's most important? It's not always having success. It's learning from those failures so you can be a better professional and you could do your job even better. Right. So Gatinier, I do want to ask you a little bit about that rewards program again. You said you're going into it. You said you're going to be revamping and all of it today. You're also, as we had already discussed, trying very hard to make new connections with customers, get them to understand the Sonesta's panoply of brands. So what do you think the customer in 2022 is looking for and really wants from a rewards program?
I think at the end of the day, the first thing I know what I look for, and I'm assuming this is what the customers look for, is being able to, when you're traveling to our hotels, have the availability. When you're traveling on business, many of our business travelers would like to earn their points so they can utilize it for their leisure travel with their family. Mm-hmm. So making sure that the program is robust, the members feel special when they're traveling, that they're recognized when they're checking into a hotel. If we have any upgrades available, are they being provided those upgrades? Because sometimes many of our premium rooms sit empty. So why let it sit empty if we can upgrade a loyal customer? And really making sure that we're communicating to them so that they know what's expected when they check into our hotels.
I love that idea before you go on, because then it leaves you the regular rooms to be able to sell to other folks that are due to the brand or actually using a third-party service, for example.
Exactly. And remember, a loyal customer made it a point to come to our branded website and make that reservation. Yep. So they have to be treated in a way that, we have to thank them for that, number one, because it's our least costly channel. Mm-hmm. So we do need to make sure that when they do check into our hotel, that they, their experience is seamless and that they're very satisfied. And hopefully they'll come back either, if there's a group conference or if it's a business traveler or vacation.
And how do you see third parties going forward? Do you see them changing significantly, like your relationship with them going forward? Because again, we've talked about this to noise on the show. It's the relationship that you must have. It's like your crazy uncle. He's got to come to Thanksgiving or everybody's going to be mad at you. And not to say, not to talk bad about third parties, because we have a need for them and they support us. But like, do you see us going forward after the pandemic and us having more or less control or the same, or what's your perspective?
I think we're always going to work with the third parties, and there's no way around it. And it's the behavior of the travelers that are making a choice to book their reservations on their sites because of the air piece, the rent-a-car piece, and other components. The key is to make sure that each of our hotels are realizing how much of that business do they need, how much of that business they want to take, and really making a strategic decision of utilizing them for standard bookings versus all the other components that they offer, right? So if you think of the additional discount for their members only, or if you think of the packages that they offer, which has significant discount. So really making sure that our revenue management team, our general managers and sales leaders that take a look at their business, they're making that strategic decision to say, how much of this business do I need? Because they'll never go away. You still need them, and you need to partner with them as well.
Right. And they're always going to be strategically relevant. But what we're always talking about, and what Garine is really talking about, is making sure that it's an appropriate amount of your business to your benefit, as opposed to what has happened a lot of times with hoteliers out there where they spend too much effort depending on that piece of business and therefore overall lower their ability to make more profit.
And sometimes they see it as it's less payroll and sales, less payroll and revenue management, and then just give it to the third parties, pay that 20% commission, let them book your hotel and be done with it. And it's that's what's so important about the brands, educating owners and management companies on the ability to drive rate. But what I've always found, and you've probably been through this 100 times, that we really stink at motivating the front desk and our team to be incentivized to get that traveler never to go anywhere else but our website. I remember at the Plaza Hotel, we were doing incentive programs at the Plaza Hotel, and we were successful at it because we paid immediately. So as soon as I get checked out and I see that it came through, from the last visit, came through one of our desk clerks, or that we upsold, they would get paid out within like that week. They would get paid, and they would get paid cash, and then we would just run it through accounting. They would get paid out immediately.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And many of our hotels do exactly that, but it starts with the loyalty program. So if you have, Anthony checking in, you booked through one of the third parties, the key, the important thing here is that to make sure to convince you to join a loyalty program, to convert you to that loyal membership, so that in the future you're going to the brand.com versus a third party, right? So that's really the key. And we try to educate and train our front desk professionals to ask those questions. Are you here for business? Are you here for leisure? Have you heard about our loyalty program? Would you be interested to enroll? And there are incentives to enrolling our customers to a loyalty program. That's really, that's just another way for us to expand our distribution.
I've been traveling for a long time, and I can count on one hand how many times somebody tried to enroll me into their loyalty program. I am a loyalty member of 0 brands, except Hilton, because last week, offered me diamond status.
Yeah, right.
The front desk is not doing a good job.
Yeah, because of that, Anthony, I actually booked a room already for that challenge we have. So check our show from last week with Juan to hear all about that. That, of course, is Hilton Caribbean's leader. Garine, back to you.
Now, I was just going to say, it's interesting. As I traveled 2 weeks ago, I don't know if you've traveled in the last 2 to 3 weeks or during the pandemic, there is a sense of a change when you walk into a hotel. Mm-hmm. You see that even from the front desk, and I'm not just saying because I'm biased to the Sonesta, because I took an opportunity to tour some of our competitors, but there's this different sense of welcoming at the front desk across the board. And I visited a Marriott product and a Hilton product while I was touring hotels, but the front desk teams were, just so welcoming. Hello, good afternoon. How are you? I just see a big change in our industry because we've gone through so much in the last 14 months. I think our teams across the industry are so ready to welcome people to their hotels. So I would be curious to see if that'll sustain, obviously, throughout the next, 6 to 8 to 10 months. But I definitely think that there will be a change there.
It's interesting because I've had the opposite experience, not your brand, of course, but where people look fried and people look overworked And I'm not getting that experience that I'm used to not because people don't want to, it's just they just don't have as many people on staff. And they literally looked, I would say in the last 2 months, the quality of service that I've received from the hotels that I've gone to has been below what I remember pre-pandemic. But I just think that that's maybe the hotels I went to, and I think it's temporary until we get, proper staffing levels.
Well, you also have a lot of individuals that are doing cross disciplines, right?
Exactly.
So you probably have someone that's, checking in someone, but someone is also in a restaurant helping out with, food and beverage. But I have to tell you that, and this really hit home for me. When I was in Houston, I was at the Royal Sonesta Houston, and they were getting ready to invite one of their top corporate accounts that wanted to do a site of their meeting space. And you had to see this team, how excited they were to have a customer in the hotel. And more importantly, they had this amazing chef's table in the middle of the kitchen. And Anthony, you could probably relate to this. I'm sure you've seen many of them. The chef was so excited to prepare a meal to the customer. Not that they were never excited before, but there's a sense of excitement to bring people back to the hotel. And I saw the chef's table, and they did an amazing job welcoming that customer. Even the customer was wowed.
Yeah. Me and Glenn were just talking this morning on our catch-up meeting that we're like, just give us a stage somewhere, and we're just going to talk. We'll talk to the bugs. We don't care. Like, we're so, like, we do so many, like last year, I did 2019, I did like, 14, 15 keynote speeches. And I was just like, I just want to get on stage and just talk to people.
I'll tell you, I'll be at the Hunter Hotels Investment Conference and doing that and moderating a panel felt so good. Can't wait to get back there, which reminds me, everybody, hire Anthony and I for your next event. You're going to be having your annual meetings again. Why not just have us do the show live, have us do a keynote speech, have us do lots of things over there. Drop me a line, Glenn at novacancynews.com.
I hate when you do that.
No, you don't.
That's a great opportunity. You should take this show on the road and host it.
We do. Before the pandemic, we did that, and Glenn does it all the time. And it's just a matter of things opening up again and us having the time to do it. And I just love doing it. I just love getting in front of our industry. Yeah. And I almost feel like, because I've been kind of writing a keynote speech in the back of my head, and I almost feel like a stand-up comedian, because the openings are funny, because it's like, if you really think what we've been through hasn't been funny, but it was so painful that there's so much material that it's just like, there's just so much material. I mean, just think of the words that are in our, that we say every day now. You have your mask, did you Zoom? Hey, set up a Zoom. Put your mic on. Shut your camera off. Put your camera on. Like, things we never said a year ago. It's crazy.
This phrase is my most popular phrase of 2020. Anthony, your mute button is on.
No, I got better. I got better. In the beginning, it was ridiculous. No, the beginning, before I got this great camera, the beginning was my lighting. Oh my God. It took me 6 months. It took me 6 months to figure this out. But anyway.
All right, let me bring it back to, do you have a question for Guts?
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
All right. So bringing it back to you, we've been talking about what customer expectations and stuff are. Where do you think customers are going to be thinking in the future? What is going to be essential to them? I'm a big believer in, other than, us having amped up our cleaning protocols and stuff like that, things are just going to go back to the way they were. Whatever was in society prior to the pandemic will be there afterwards. Do you see it kind of the same way? If not, how do you see it?
My thought is that we will continue utilizing our current protocols. I don't see that changing anytime soon. I do know that one of the things that we've done recently with Forbes Travel, we partnered with them, and they have a new program called Share Care. And it's essentially, if a hotel is certified Share Care, it's sort of a certification that they follow all the protocols for a hotel. So it's almost like when you went to a restaurant, you saw the A sign, right? So you knew that this hotel was certified, they're clean, they're following all the protocols. So we're very excited about that partnership, and we're very confident that all of our hotels are utilizing that. But to answer your question, I think it's here to stay for the short time.
Yeah, and that gets me thinking. I always wondered, why are people going into that Chinese restaurant with the C rating on their door when I lived in Brooklyn? I never understood that. Weird. I like the A ratings and the B ratings.
Well, I've gone to a couple of restaurants that I know very well that had a C rating, just because I know it well. But yeah, typically if I see a restaurant, whether it be Chinese, Italian, whatever it is, with a C rating, C means see you later.
Yeah. Very true. And for you guys, you can go check out the Restoring Guest Confidence with Forbes Travel Guide Share Care at ftg.hs.sharecare.com, or just Google Forbes Share Care. It'll come up really easily. I love that idea. The program also, Garine, really saves you the effort of putting into a whole program on your own, which is something the other brands, some of the other major brands have chosen to do. So I like that particular move. Let someone else be the third-party arbiter of what you're doing. I think it adds to a level of transparency for your guests as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when are you guys going to get in the corporate offices? Are you guys in the corporate offices yet?
So we are actually. So in March, I traveled to our headquarters in Newton, Massachusetts. And I know that at that time, the capacity was about 25%, but it has increased up to about 50%. And for us, the guidance is if you're vaccinated, you feel comfortable traveling. Right now, most of our travel is going to be to visit the hotels, to be honest with you. It's not about headquarters. It's really getting in front of our general managers and sales leaders, revenue leaders, because they miss that connection. They want people to come and visit them. I know that the general manager in Chicago and Houston, they were so happy to see us.
Right.
Because they've gone through so much, and to just have someone there from a corporate level to hear them out, to hear what they've gone through and what they are doing. So that's what I see. I think it's more than visiting the headquarters. It's really visiting our properties.
I'd add a layer to that. For those hotels that you're speaking of that have been part of this for a long time, with all the changes going on with the company, they probably want that reassurance that they're still super important and that the entire company is going to raise the tides of their business as well as everyone else's. And you got to get out there in order to share that kind of information.
Exactly. And, one thing that I've always said as I've gone through my professional journey, general managers are the closest to the register. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really important to stay close to them because they're the ones that make the magic happen on property. And they're the reasons why we have corporate offices. So visiting them, talking to them, staying close to them is absolutely key. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I do now on a weekly basis, I have coffee chat with Garine, and it's a group of 5 sales leaders that I just connect with just to talk. Tell me what you're struggling, what's working, what is it that you need. It's just a great way for me to find out what's going on in their world. And if there's something I can immediately impact with my corporate team, we'll make it happen. So staying close to our property teams is absolutely critical.
Yeah, on behalf of general managers everywhere, thank you. And, I think corporate offices sometimes get caught up with, listen, when you're in the grind, when you're at the Plaza Hotel and you're the revenue manager, there's pain. There's a lot of pain. And when you get into the corporate offices and it's kind of a little bit, not saying it's less stressful, but you don't have that energy of the guest, of the employees. It could be the union. There's an energy that sometimes is very intense. And when you're in the corporate offices, sometimes you forget that. So it's good that you recognize that, and I appreciate that on behalf of all of us at the operation level.
So, Garine, before we wrap up, Michael Weinberg asks, how's your penetration from international markets? Of course, understanding the situation that's going on, a lot of borders closed, et cetera, et cetera. Is this a focus, and will it be, I would say, when borders start to open up again?
What international markets?
Like coming into the United States.
No, I'm kidding. Meaning,
yeah, right. Totally.
The answer is yes. We cannot wait, just as they can't wait. I mean, we talk to our customers outside of the States, and they have such pent-up demand. They're just waiting for the announcement that the restrictions will be lifted. But right now, the penetration is not that great, but I think we're all feeling it. All brands are feeling it. So as soon as the restrictions are lifted, we are ready. We have all of our strategies. We've got our playbook ready to go. It's just a matter of, getting them to come into the States.
Yeah, thank God for that pent up leisure traveler from the States, because that's really kind of floating a lot of boats. I mean, I don't know what the percentage is in leisure travel that is up from 2019 that typically wouldn't be there. And how are the rates? Are you seeing the rates go up past 2019, same or below?
So, weekends right now, it's probably closer to about 85% of 2019 level.
Pretty good.
Midweek is right around the 80%. But I have to say that the demand that we're seeing for the summer is very strong. June, July, and August. And as vaccination rates increase, obviously, we're seeing the demand. So I'm constantly encouraging our teams to take opportunity to either increase rates or lessen the discount, so we're seeing more conversion on our retail rates.
Right, and put 2-night and 3-night minimums on right now.
Yeah, right. What are you thinking about when it comes to fourth quarter out there? Some people seem a little bit anxious about it. I'm feeling pretty bullish that more events are going to be coming back. Plus, you've got pent up demand for all those weddings, bar mitzvahs, sweet 16s, quinceañeras, all that kind of stuff out there. How are you seeing it?
So short-term weddings, family reunions, sweet 16, bar mitzvahs, we're seeing it. I mean, we're seeing bookings. A call will come today for 4 weeks from now.
Wow.
And because the weather is nicer, there's a lot more outdoor space. Hotels are optimizing their outdoor space now, being very creative to find ways to book business. To answer your question for Q4, for fourth quarter, we're seeing group demand.
Awesome.
We're not seeing the large 200, 300 groups, but we are seeing 50 to 75 with the hybrid meeting. Some people may, virtually attend the meeting, and some people want to come in person because they're confident, they're vaccinated, they want to hit the road, they want to travel.
Even locally, I was at my, we had a graduation party for my twins and from college, and I was at the catering hall / restaurant, and I asked the owners, "Is it busy?" He goes, "It's picking up, and we're seeing business catering bookings pick up dramatically, but it's 50% of what it was. Meaning, if it's 400 now, it's 200 people. If it was 100, it was 50 people, and they're seeing it for into next year. So those parties that booked 400 or 500 people 2 years ago are now booking 200, 300. So I think it's across the board.
I will say that AHOA's annual convention is coming up in August, starting August 3rd, give or take a day. And they're already getting on 3,600 people. And my understanding is a lot of the suppliers haven't even registered yet. So they'll probably be real close, if not passing 2019 numbers. And Mary Beloy, our friend over at QuestX, is saying HOTEC is coming up. That's right. It's going to be in Miami, June 28th and 29th. I'm actually going to be down there for that. So that'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to getting back with people on the road and going to more events coming up. So that's going to be super exciting. Anthony, any final thoughts before we wrap up today?
No, just how can people find you? This is a shameless plug for Sonesta and yourself.
Yep. Got the night. Take it away.
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm available. I know that when I'm happy to share my mobile number if anybody's interested in growing their career within the industry. I'm always happy to speak to college students as well as industry professionals that are interested to join Sonesta. But you can find me through LinkedIn.
Excellent. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it and hearing all these great stories from the incredible growth of Sonesta. Continued success to you, and lots of luck making it through all these incredible challenges that you have to face. It's going to be pretty awesome for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Bye-bye. It's interesting. We were all three of us are on, are kind of in the same vicinity. We're probably like throw baseball, and we can. I
know we probably should have all just met at the Garden City Hotel and done the show live from there today. Maybe next time.
We got to get back there, man. We got to get back there and see Grady and ask Grady how things are.
Grady, I didn't speak with him personally. I've texted with him a couple of times like that. But the Garden City Hotel in Long Island is doing gangbuster business apparently this summer. They've even had some sellouts, according to posts that Grady put up on LinkedIn. So that's pretty freaking amazing.
That's fantastic. When's our friend from the cruise industry coming? my friend.
Soon-ish, but I don't know the date off the top of my head.
It's scheduled though, right?
Yeah, I think so. We're still figuring. I think we're still figuring out the exact date, but it is in motion. And of course, next week we're going to be at a luxury hotel in New York City doing a live show on the 15th, which will be.
We are. Hold on, let me put that in my calendar. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
And then the week after, we'll be in Vegas for a week of shows. And then the week after that, I will be at Hotech doing a couple of shows. And then the end of July, I'll be out at Alice, which is great. And then Hoa. And then I'll be in Atlantic City. And then I think I'm going to Mexico. And dude, it's like we're back to traveling.
You're a normal boy, Glenn. You're a normal boy. All right, take us out, brother.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your support every day. And if you can't watch us on video, why not listen to us on audio? After all, most of our audience does every single day. And they're finding No Vacancy Live and checking in with Anthony and Glenn on Apple Podcasts, on iHeartRadio, on Stitcher. If you ever want to reach out and talk to either of us, go to Anthony Hotels or at Traveling with Glenn on social. And of course, I'm Glenn at novacancynews.com. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. And remember, we got to do this part first. And remember, everybody, you've got one life, so blaze on and
Be kind to yourself.
all right, see y'all tomorrow.
And don't talk over the slide.
Never.